Hello everyone, my name is Rhett and I'm with Prodim USA. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me today in Prodim's webinar series. In today's webinar, we will be measuring a glass balustrade in multiple planes using the Proliner's glass package. If you have any questions during today's webinar, please feel free to fill them into the questions and answers. You can also contact us at info@prodimusa.com. The Proliner glass package features our Proliner 8X series, the backpack, tripod, batteries, and additional measuring accessories. The Proliner glass package comes with everything you need to measure for the glass industry. Now let's talk about the process of measuring balustrades with the Proliner using multiple planes. When measuring in multiple planes, each surface you are measuring for must be measured in its own layer. Once you have completed measuring the first surface you are measuring, you will then change to the next layer by pressing and holding the 3 button on the remote. Now you are in the second layer. The Proliner is now expecting you to create the next plane on the next surface you are measuring for. This procedure allows us to measure many different surfaces in one measurement file. Taking a look here at the screen, we'll see the 3 steps or 3 layers that will be used to measure this staircase here. Our first layer will be representing the horizontal layer or the level plane, which will be captured on a laser level. The second layer will be all of the information on the first flight of stairs. And the third layer consisting of all of the measurement points from the second flight of stairs. After that, we will finalize the measurement in the Proliner Edit software, where we will be closing the shapes, checking our measurements, and doing some minor editing as well. Before you start a measurement, you should always check your measurement settings. So this is why we are here today, is we are going to be learning how to use multiple planes. All right, so here it's time to start the video of Tiago demonstrating how to measure His first layer is going to consist of 3 points on a laser level representing a perfectly horizontal plane. After setting 3 points on the level plane, he's going to press and hold the 3 button to change to the next layer. He will now present to set the plane on the first flight of staircases, setting 3 or more points on the surface for measuring for. After setting the plane, he'll then go ahead and measure the faces of the steps and the risers, going in a left to right motion, starting from the bottom of the staircase, working up towards the top. When capturing points along the treads and the risers, you'll see we only take 2 points because 2 points will always create a straight line. When measuring along floors and walls, we can take more than 2 points to then capture any ups or downs or ins and outs going along walls or along floors. Getting close to the top there now, and we're going to take a peek here and see what the Proliner has captured there from what we've measured so far. Right, now that he's finished measuring the faces and the risers, he's going to go ahead and start measuring the floors and the adjacent wall from left to right. The last bit of information needed here is going to be the standoff locations. By centering the ball of the Proliner on those pre-drilled or pre-marked locations and taking a single point by pressing the 1 button followed by the 3, we are then representing the center point of the standoff location, which can then be turned into a circle later in the editing process. Here we'll see an image of that plane represented, almost like a piece of glass, with all of the information of that staircase, which we'll use to build the real piece of glass coming up off of that balustrade. Alright, we've now changed to our third layer, and we are setting the plane on the final surface we are measuring for, taking 3 or more points on top of that surface, followed by the 3 button, which now allows us to go back and measure the perimeter of that surface from left to right. Just like the first set of staircases here, we are measuring all the treads and risers, capturing all the information necessary to then build that staircase many different ways, whether it's going to be done with standoffs, with cleats, or even if it's to fit between rails. Alright, so he's captured the top of that stringer, and now he's going to go back and capture the bottom of that stringer as well. It's good to know where the bottom of our glass needs to end as well. Working his way back towards the bottom here, you can see the image starting to fill in on the Proliner screen as he captures all the information necessary. And in just a minute, we'll get a nice 3D rotation of this so we can see the entire measurement, exactly how it looks here in front of us in the video. Alright, he's got all the information of the perimeter, and now he's going to go back and capture those standoffs, once again using a single point, which is made with a 1 followed by a 3 on your remote. Alright, and once again we see that plane represented on that surface with the measurement information, and our next step is going to be to collide those two planes together so we can find out where they are going to collide with one another so we can make our glass fit perfectly for this scenario. Alright, so on the Proliner here we are turning off the first and the third layer, allowing us only to work on that first flight of stairs. We're going to be using some of the built-in editing tools on the Proliner to close the shapes. Right now we're using our trim tool to close the corners. We're extending these lines to where they meet, creating a closed intersection. The navigation tools on the Proliner make this process very easy, allowing you to move all around the drawing. There's many different editing tools to use to finalize your drawing. Here we're using a circle drawing tool where we get to type in the radius of the circle, selecting the center point from where the circle will be drawn from. So for all of our standoff points, we will use this tool to draw the circles for the cutouts. All right, here we have some dimensioning tools which we can use to check measurements. You can check the length of the staircase from the first step all the way to the top step. After verifying all the information on the first flight of staircase, we can then turn that layer off and turn on the second flight staircase layer and begin to edit it as well, all right here at the job site on the Proliner. Once again, after he's closed all the corners using our trim tool, he'll go back and create those circles again for all of our standoffs. And check our dimensions. It's moving along nice and quick now. Always want to double check those dimensions before you leave the job site. So there, we've saved the file. The Proliner's file is now saved on the Proliner itself. And using an Android phone, we're going to utilize the Proliner's file transfer app to transfer the file off the Proliner via Bluetooth to an Android phone. Just like that, the files have been transferred onto his phone, where he's now going to be able to use his cell phone to take photos of the area where the measurements were taken, all details needed for the editing process, which can be emailed over to the office or wherever the next process takes place. I hope you guys enjoyed that measurement video. Now it's time to bring that measurement file into the Prodim Factory Draw and finalize our pieces of glass and create a DXF file that's ready to be manufactured. In the Prodim Factory, we have a list of steps here that we're going to show in our presentation in the next video, but our first step will be to open the file up in the Prodim Factory. After that, we will create vertical planes off of our horizontal level plane, creating perfectly level or perfectly plumb pieces of glass. After that, we will project the measurement information onto those perfectly plumb planes that we've created. Once we have all of our measurement information onto our perfectly plumb planes, we will then draw our pieces of glass using the editing tools in the Prodim Factory. Using the features of the Draw Advance, we will add thicknesses for the thickness of our glass, which will allow us to detect collisions of our glass and make adjustments so that our glass can fit in this scenario without touching. We will then finally align our shapes and get the final pieces we need, called production pieces, which we will then publish out as a DXF file ready to be sent to any CNC machine or even hand cutting machines as well. We can even publish shop ticket reports and files to then be printed or emailed to go along with your job process. Take a look here at this next video, which will show the editing process from the measurement we've just taken. Our first step is bringing that file into the Prodim Factory, which here we have now opened it up in the Draw software. The Draw software utilizes a lot of the tools similar to the Proliner, but it has a lot more advanced features as well. Here you will see creating vertical planes off of the level surface that was first measured in the measuring video. The points are projected from the first surface measured onto the new plumb plane created off of our level plane. And that step will be repeated on both of our staircases. Once again, he's going to project all that information onto our perfectly plumb plane, and then remove all the information that's unnecessary now that we have everything on perfectly plumb planes. Our next step is going to be to start drawing our glass. So drawing our perfectly plumb line up from the top of the first tread and from the top of the final tread. Just like that, we've built the top of the glass. All right, here using the contour selecting tools here, we've now offsetted the bottom line of the glass down. Taking a second here to delete any unneeded lines so that we can then draw in our new lines and trim our lines back together. All right, now that we've got it all connected, we're going to quickly move the bottom of the glass up so that it's not sitting on the ground. And once again, just showing you how we can use our circle drawing tool to quickly draw in our circle cutouts for our standoffs. Now we're taking a final step of selecting all the information from our actual piece of glass and separating it into its own layer, giving it its own specific name. All right, we're now on the second flight of staircase. Once again, using the circle drawing tool to quickly make those circle cutouts. Drawing our vertical lines up from our first and last steps. Alright, moving on to building the bottom of the piece of glass now. We can make adjustments to make sure that this fits exactly how we want it to fit within our stringer. Alright, now that we've closed the corners, once again, we're going to modify that piece of glass into its own layer. By selecting all the lines that make up that piece of glass, right-clicking on the geometry, and changing the layer to a different name. Alright, so if you take a look down in the bottom right of our corner of our screen here, we'll see where we can actually type in thicknesses for our glass, which will then create a solid out of our measurement. We can even type in a plane offset to represent the standoff, showing how much it's going to push that flat vertical surface off of what we are mounting the piece of glass to. So once we do that on each of those surfaces, we'll definitely have a collision between those two surfaces, which you will see our shapes have now turned red. The red color is representing a collision of the two surfaces, meaning it cannot be installed this way. As adjusting this, you'll see here that the two shapes have turned an orange color. This means that two surfaces are colliding with each other, but if cut with the appropriate miter, we can make this work. In a moment, we're going to fix this and make sure there's no collision, which will then turn our shapes green, which you now see here, meaning that there's not a collision between the two pieces and that the two pieces can be installed this way. All right, here we're taking some final steps to finalize our pieces of glass, getting the desired look we want out of our glass. Using a fillet tool, we can add a radius to the corners of our measurement. We can type in our desired radius, creating a rounded corner instead of a sharp edge. It's a very nice connection there between those two pieces of glass. All right, here at the bottom, we see we have some differences between our two shapes. And I believe we're going to correct for that now. we're going to project a point from this plane onto the other plane that we have created as well. This will then allow us to know where to move that drawing point down to. So we have a aligned corner, which you'll see he's going to finalize here now. Very nice. Going back with his fillet tool, he's going to give a rounded corner to these sharp edges. Really getting to those final steps, getting much closer to having our production ready piece of glass. Once again, on the second flight of staircase, adding a radius corner onto the edges of the glass, giving it a rounded edge. Here we're adding a colored profile. The profile lets me know the polish or the finish for the perimeter of this piece of glass. It also calculates the linear footage of this profile. Here we're creating a production piece, making sure to name these pieces for what they are. By creating a production piece, we are separating the production piece of glass from the drawing, only taking the perimeter of the glass and the cutouts, not the staircase information. So now that we've created our two production pieces, we can view those production pieces. We can manipulate and move those pieces around here in a 2D view for our PDF shop tickets. For our shop tickets, we will be able to add measurements. Here we're using a point-to-point measurement. We're going to go forth and use a radius measuring tool, and I believe an angle measuring tool as well. Adding as much detail as you want to your drawing so that your shop tickets can then represent your final production pieces. And you can take the time to do that for each of your production pieces. All right, so now that we've created a nice 2D preview, we've added all of our dimensions, radiuses, and angles. We're going to take a look at this final product in the 3D view as well. Here we see our 3D solid view of our pieces of glass. All right, finally we will save this project and we are going to publish this file out of the Prodim Factory as a DXF file. Here's our PDF shop ticket that we created there at the end by adding those dimensions there in the 2D view. And we have created some DXF files of our production ready pieces of glass. All right. Concluding that second video, we have created two production-ready pieces of glass using the Proliner's glass package. After watching the webinar, you can see for yourself how easy it is to measure balustrades with the Proliner. The Prodim Factory Draw Advanced software makes the editing process feel simplified and easy to use. Our solid features allows you to confirm your production pieces will fit properly with our collision detection, vertical plane, and projection tools. Here are some references of projects that were completed using the Proliner by some of our customers. We love seeing projects and hearing all of your success stories that come from the use of your Proliner. Feel free to send us some pictures or videos of the projects you've completed with your Proliner. Thank you guys very much for attending today's webinar session. Keep an eye out for future webinar sessions to come, and please feel free to contact us with your tailored solutions. Until next time, thank you and have a great day.